Hey, what's up, everyone?
How's it going? Hey, we are real dead.
We are real dead, and we're getting ready to introduce everybody. Josh, go around. This is new for us. This is exciting, though.
Hey, we have a special guest on today. It's a mutual friend of me and Mike's. He is into horror movies, and his name is Greggory. Greggory Ghostface.
Greggory the Ghostface.
Do you like scary movies?
Yeah.
I like that voice.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
So he's here to talk about this movie because he's a big fan of this film series. We are actually talking about Scream 4 today. So we've reviewed the other 3 Scream movies. He has a Blu-ray copy of it. We reviewed the other 3 Scream movies, so we're going to do Scream 4. This came out in 2011. It is rated R. I did see this movie in the theater. And I remember really liking it then. And I think it's one of those movies that some of the parts on rewatching don't hold up at all. But for the most part, the whole movie does hold up, except for some parts of the movie, I think. Mike, did you see this in the theater?
I don't think I did, Josh. I think I watched this on probably back then VHS or maybe it was coming out on Blu-ray back then. I don't know what it was, but I don't think I did see it at the theater.
Mike, I don't think you were watching VHS in 2011, bro.
I'm old school. I may have,
You know what? I still like VHS, but I don't think it came out in VHS in 2011.
So, Greggory, did you see this in the theater?
I did see it in the theater. I saw it after it was out for a while. So I saw it with an old friend of mine, and I remember coming out of it wow, that was kind of crazy. But we were talking about it, I remember he didn't really like it, but I love Scream movies. So I just looked at it as a new chapter in the series at that time. I mean, each one is a new chapter. So
yes. So Mike, do you want to bring up that synopsis?
I can bring up the synopsis and then we'll show the rating on it.
Yep.
All right. It says, it has been many years since the Ghostface killer cut a deadly path through the town of Woodsboro. In order to get over the trauma of those horrific events, Sidney Prescott, which is played by Neve Campbell, has written a self-help book. She returns to Woodsboro for her book tour and reconnects with old friends Gail Weathers, Courtney Cox, and Sheriff Dewey David Arquette. However, Sydney's arrival also sparks the return of Ghostface, putting Sydney and everyone she loves in danger. This is a horror comedy, rated R, like Josh said. Wes Craven was the director. It grossed $38.2 million in the USA, and its release date was April the 1st, 2017 on streaming, and in theaters it was April the 15th, 2011. And let's go. You want to go ahead and jump straight into what the Rotten Tomato score was on it?
Yeah. So I wanted to say this. I know this movie was a bit of a disappointment when it comes to the box office numbers. So that's why they didn't make a Scream 5 after. They waited because it was a bit of a box office disappointment.
Okay. And so right there, boom, Scream 4, hour and 52 minutes, 57 audience score, and 60 from the critics, which has got over 50,000 audience score ratings and only 190 critics reviews on it, but pretty close to the same score for both of them.
Yeah. What do you think of that score, Greggory?
Well, for Wes Craven's last Scream movie, I don't know if that's a fair rating, but I personally don't go by Rotten Tomato ratings anyway, or critics. I'll review what people have to say, but then I go and see it for myself. So I totally love the whole Wes Craven feel in this movie, especially being his last movie, unfortunately. The ones after that, they were good, but they're just lacking that Wes Craven feel. They tried hard, but it's just still lacking.
Okay. So let's get this started off by talking about, which I think is the black eye on this movie, the opening sequence. This is the black eye on this movie. Because listen, I was talking with Michelle. I said, when I first watched this in the theater, I thought it was cool. But I think on repeat viewings, it gets tired quick. because it's a fake movie in a movie. It's a stab in the side of another stab inside of the actual Scream 4. And I just think that it doesn't hold up over time. Gregory, how do you feel about the opening of this?
It's kind of confusing when if you don't think about it, because it's really the first people, which end up being the last ones of that sequence, watching the second sequence at our point of view, and then they're watching the very first sequence at our point of view. Well, it's from the character's point of view, really. So it's kind of backwards. So you're watching people watching a movie,
Right.
and you have to think about that first. So anyone that's starting to watch it isn't going to really understand that until they actually dissect it.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy though. I liked how Kristen Bell was in it, and my gosh, what is her name from X-Men?
Anna Paquin.
Yes, yeah. I liked how they were in it. That was kind of surprising. Those are the only two big stars that I knew. The other ones, I think they were before my time, as far as I think they were from shows or movies that I didn't really know about.
Right.
But the one thing that kind of got me was when the last kill happens and it shows like the big Scream mask and it has that music. It's kind of like comic-y, like a comic book sound to it. It doesn't sound like a regular Scream song.
Yeah.
It's like comic-y to me.
It's like banana.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for me. Mike, what did you think of that opening kill scene?
It's kind of like, it was basically a double fake out, right?
Yeah.
Into the actual one. It was like me and my wife had never seen it, and we watched it again yesterday, and she was like, "Well, this is weird." And then she got confused really quick. She was like, "I don't understand what's happened, and what is the stab thing?" Because she had never seen it. I mean, she saw the first one, but she didn't see number 2 or number 3. So it was really confusing for her. It's not, of all the Scream movies, it's probably my least favorite of all of them by far.
I agree.
But when I went back and watched it, I still didn't mind it. I thought the killing and the stabbing in the stomach and stuff like that, I mean, it was kind of catchy and going out on the step. And then, you got to, if you go back and look at it from what the movie turns into, not from the very beginning where they say we're recreating the original, you had 2 killers. Even in the picture of Stab, there was 2 separate killers. So watching it originally, I don't like it. When you go back and see the whole movie, and then I can go back and reflect on it, I'm like, well, maybe it's not so bad after all, because even within the movie, there was 2 killers in it. And there ends up being 2 killers in this one.
Yep. And so if people don't know, inside the Scream universe is the Stab universe, which is the movie within a movie. So they made a whole movie series based on Gale Weathers' books, and they called them Stab, which I think is really clever. And I do enjoy the whole Stab thing. But to have it happen 2 times in a row, just like I said, I think it's just too much.
They were stretching. They were reaching there a little bit, I think.
Wasn't it like Stab 6 and then Stab 7?
Yeah.
So when it ended with the actual kill in the garage, that was actually like real life. It was them that were watching those movies, watching that movie.
That's right.
That was probably Charlie. For those that haven't seen the movie, I'm thinking that was probably Charlie, because him and Jill were trying to recreate the original, and you can kind of tell it just ended up in the garage. The one thing I didn't think was real was that the garage door coming up slow, but then how fast it went down. And it had this padding, so it sounded like it broke her back or something. It wouldn't, I don't think it would have done that, but it's just a movie, I know, but I'm just like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like redoing the whole first Scream garage door thing there.
Right. And one thing I really like about this movie, and I think it's probably the best part of this movie for me, besides like the kills. Some of the kills are great in this, actually. Is like where the characters are in their lives. I mean, like you got Dewey, who's like the sheriff of the town. Gail is kind of like trying to write books. Gail is awesome in this. She's funny. She's likable. She's kind of like original Gail from the original movie, kind of bitchy.
She's one of my
I think
favorites.
she's really good in this movie. I like her a lot. And I like Nev. She wrote a book. I mean, not Nev, Sid. She wrote a book, and she's going around doing that whole thing. And I just really like where the characters are in this. And then some of the new characters are kind of cool, like Kirby. I like Kirby's character.
She was the comic relief of that movie.
Yeah, I like her a lot in this movie. But yeah, what do you guys think about like the cast, the returning cast, and then some of the new? I really enjoy that about this movie, honestly.
I liked. I mean, I know a lot of people probably give this grief, but I like the whole Robbie and Charlie having the horror movie type. I can't remember what it was called exactly. Maybe y'all do, in the high school, and they go back and talk to the class, and then you got Sydney and Gail Weathers there in the class trying to track his killer down. But I kind of like that. And even thinking back then at 2011 to 2023, they were, even in 2011, we're talking about live streaming or live this, that, and the other. That's how it is nowadays. So I kind of like that. A lot of people hate on it. I personally kind of like that.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
And I really liked Charlie and Robbie both. We'll talk a little bit more here.
Yeah,
in a second
we'll talk more about
happened.
that. I have my
we'll talk more about them. But I like both of those. I like both of those characters. I didn't like what's her name? The Sydney's cousin.
Yeah,
Jill.
or cousin. Yeah, she's horrible.
Yeah, I really didn't like. I didn't like her in the movie. I mean, it's good acting though. That's one thing about this movie. I didn't think it was poor acting.
No, definitely not.
I mean, there's one thing you can see a bunch of younger actors and they're cheap. They're getting them for cheap, and it's poor acting. It didn't have a poor feel to it.
The one guy that I thought probably was like a weak link of the movie was Trevor, the ex-boyfriend of the main girl, and that's another thing that I noticed. Is there's too many red herrings in this movie. Like they want you to think like that it's like 50 million people are doing the murders.
Yeah, they wanted him to be the Billy Loomis. They wanted him to be that type character.
Gregory, what did you think of it?
I think Jill is trying to make it like her own movie with the boyfriend coming through the window. Because even Sydney says, "You remind me of me."
Yep.
And I think that's what she was trying to do, was kind of live Sydney's life. So she probably purposely had him come through the window just to get that feel of how Sydney was. Because she wanted all the fame and fortune. Well, not really fortune, but the fame like Sydney. Some of the kills I was not too thrilled with. I thought they were kind of silly. And if we go through a list of them, we can go over that. But as far as the cast, I like the cast. Trevor, I think he wasn't used very well. Like I guess he served his purpose. It was horrible what happened to him, but that was pretty bad. But yeah, they were using him to pin everything on him. I mean, the whole ending, the way it came together was crazy. But Jill, especially played by Emma Roberts, she was really good as far as acting. As Jill, acting afraid when really inside she was like relishing every bad moment that was happening, but she was actually acting like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I mean, she has no heart. She watched her friend across the way get killed and stuff. Yeah, I can't believe that.
That was
that was gruesome. That was probably one of the most gruesome
murders in the Scream franchise.
Yeah,
Olivia's kill. I mean, dang man, Charlie carved her up and had her guts laying on the bed and everything, dude. I mean, yeah. And the other kill I was going to mention that's I think pretty famous for this movie is where Ghostface literally stabs the cop Perkins like right in the forehead, dude.
That's the one I don't think if that happened, he hadn't been able to like swipe around and than
Well,
say that last
That
line
was
at
a
the
Michael
end.
Myers callback, I think.
I don't think he would have even been able to talk because it went right into the brain. So
I think the kill looks cool though. But yeah,
yeah,
all that after.
What was his
And then
line?
he
His
said,
line that something about Bruce Willis at the end
yeah,
of it or something.
yeah. And then
yeah.
he said, "F Bruce Willis."
The other cop, it was just like a stab and you're done.
Yeah.
And then so I think the two cop thing was it wasn't the best. So
Yeah.
but back with Olivia, the part that I kept telling Josh before that I thought was kind of corny was when he like threw her through the window and he's like putting up his knife like, this is what I am. I'm just like, okay, that's kind of corny.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that they had like a stab-a-thon in this movie. Like you see how much these stab movies are, and that leads into the next to Scream 5, in my opinion. Like you're seeing how much these stab movies mean to the fans. And so it's really cool. That is, and Gail tries to get footage there, and I thought that was funny when she was in there wearing that ghost face mask and like giving thumbs up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny.
It was good to see. It was good to see the crowd watching that say word for word what the movie Stab was saying.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
kind
cool.
of reminded me like an old Rocky Horror Picture Show where everybody knows all the words to the movie.
Do you think that was actually Courtney Cox in the first part where she's like giving the thumbs up and moving around? Because her body language didn't seem like Courtney Cox was in there.
Yeah.
And then when they took she took the mask off, that's when it was her. I was just like, did she have a stand-in at that part? Because that really wasn't Courtney Cox like to me.
Well, she was trying to act like a young, like high school kid.
Yeah.
That's what it was. You know, she was trying to blend in with all these freaking high school kids.
I'm hoping it was her that did that.
I liked Dewey a lot in this movie because he was trying to be serious. He was the sheriff. Like he had his stuff together.
It was probably one of the less goofy Dewey's movies I've seen of him.
That's
though.
right.
I mean, there was a couple points here and there.
I liked his deputy too, the blonde girl.
Deputy
Like
Hicks.
they wanted you to think that she was the killer too.
It was kind of creepy when she was outside the bedroom in that hallway, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she came out of the like shadow and came up. Don't you remember me from school? And I was like, God,
that's like, get away! I don't remember you.
Those lemon squares did look good.
Remember what Gail said?
Like
those lemon squares taste like ass. One of the funny part with Gail, when those kids were like recording her and she was like, turn it off. And they're like, no, everybody's going to live stream. And she's like, turn it the fuck off. And they're like, oh, I thought that was so funny. Cause she and they were like, oh, they like took it off real quick. It was funny.
You did ask me what I thought about the whole recording thing. I don't think I answered.
Okay.
It kind of was a throwback to Halloween Resurrection to me. And every time a movie does stuff with live cams, since that movie, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth or, a bad feeling because I don't know. Halloween Resurrection was just its own
horrible
problem, but but this movie, I understand what they were trying to do, so it worked, and I guess it worked in Resurrection for what they were trying to do, but yeah, but I liked how they did it, and then with the cameras, they put their own camera when Gail was up there, and then she, got some action with Ghostface going after her and everything. The one thing I didn't hear her say was, I think she's supposed to say, go ahead if you got the guts or something like that. I remember that in the preview, but it wasn't in the movie ever. So they do that with movies sometimes. They show stuff in previews, but then it's never in the movie. So maybe it's
right.
Like on this, there's like deleted scenes and stuff. So maybe it's on that. I didn't watch those.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get to we've talked about the movie. I also want to say Neve Campbell is good in this again. I mean, she's good in every one of them, in my opinion. She plays a lot stronger of a character in this one, I think, than past ones. I mean, she was pretty strong in the third one.
Yeah.
But I would say she's more, she knows how to do it. She's fighting Ghostface a bunch in this.
It's been around a while.
Right. Let's talk about the killers, guys. So the killers ends up being Jill Roberts, which is Sydney's niece, I think it is, right? Or cousin? No, cousin. And Charlie, who he said, I'm Randy. No, dude, you ain't Randy. You freaking are in Randy's league, bro.
He wants the girl. That's why.
Listen, he is a nerd, and I don't believe he would be doing these killings anyway. But, and then also, what's her name was trying to hit on him at the end? No, that wouldn't happen. That's unrealistic. Kirby. And I do like that they kind of like, Kirby got stabbed in this by Charlie. And they do leave it kind of up in the air, like what happened to her? You don't know if she died or not.
She got stabbed twice, multiple times, not just once.
I know.
If you've seen Scream 6, you know what happened.
Yeah. So Charlie and Jill, in my estimation, are the worst Ghostface killers. That's my opinion. I think they're horrible. Charlie's motive is horrible. It's for a girl, and Jill's motive is a little better for like fame and all that. And I get that because like a lot of people want their 15 minutes of fame, and I get that. But to me, I don't like these killers at all. And then when Jill beats herself up at the end, that's slapstick comedy. It should have been like where she's like running into the wall, jumps on a table. Come on, guys. And then they're like, we're Billy and Stu. We're just like, no, you're not like Billy and Stu either.
She was trying to, I know what she was, I get what she was trying to do, like cause like, proof and stuff like that of what happened, that there was a big, scuffle and fight and everything. But yeah, Charlie was the pawn in her plans. So she took full advantage of him and then did him out at the end.
Right. But in the first movie, Billy and Stu, like Stu wasn't a pawn in his plan. Like they were both going to live. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, and he didn't like betray him and kill him. You know what I mean? So
but she wanted to be the sole survivor.
Right. Because you get more fame. Mike, what did you think about those killers, man?
Well, I mean, it made sense that there had to be two killers. I'll be honest with you. The first time I watched it, the Charlie character, like I said earlier, I kind of liked him and Robbie. I hated that both of them got stabbed, and then you find out Charlie really wasn't stabbed. Right. I mean, I kind of was feeling for him. I'm kind of feeling for the nerd trying to get the girl, and I kind of liked that whole thing. And then when I found out he's part of the kill, I was like, wow. And it just, for her to kill him too, she's a bitch. She knew that was going to happen. I don't think, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and I know you guys, Greggory and Josh, are much bigger ghost. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Scream. I like Ghostface character. I don't think it's the worst killers. I think there's one other one that's worse than this one. But I would say it's the second least favorite. Okay.
Fair enough.
Who was the worst that you thought, or would that be giving it away if it's too close to the
No, we've already, I think my least favorite was the brother of Sydney, who was
really? Oh wow, he was one of my favorites actually.
Yeah, that's my least favorite. I just hated that whole where they changed the whole storyline from the first one. That's just I don't me like personally. That either. I know we're talking about Scream 4 here, but I just was not a big fan of that.
I wasn't a fan of that either, where they retconned that either, Mike.
It kind of made Stu and Billy look like they were pawns by him, and I just to me it took away from their character. I don't know.
Well, I agree. So what do you think of these killers, Greggory? Did you?
Well, I didn't like Charlie. I like Jill as far as her being able to control her emotion. Well, she didn't have any emotions to begin with. She was able to act scared and everything, but she didn't really care. She double crossed or backstab, or actually front stabbed Charlie. So, but I like how she had a plan and she planned everything out and she executed that plan. I mean, she took Trevor's hand and made it look like he pulled her hair out, scratched her face and everything. And then Sydney said, "You're gonna slip." They always do, and she did slip.
Yes.
Because in the hospital, she gave the part away where we can write a book together, Gail and I, and have matching wounds. That was her slip up right there.
Right.
Because that gave her away.
Right. So
her.
So we know who stabbed Gail at the party. She did.
Yeah.
But so I also have a problem with that. I think the ending, I don't like the ending, how it goes on to like another thing, another set piece at the hospital. I just don't care for it. I think it just like stretches too long. The movie, in my opinion, could be trimmed down about 15, 20 minutes, I think. But I do like one of her lines in the movie where she's like, "You just won't die. Who do you think you are, Michael fucking Myers?" I love that, dude. I was like, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and so I love that part, but the clear and no, horrible.
Dewey getting knocked out with a damn aluminum bedpan is what bothered me. I was like, my gosh, my wife was dying laughing when we saw that. I was like, man, poor Dewey getting hit with a damn bedpan.
Yeah.
Well, he's been stabbed multiple times. He's been slammed with a bedpan. You know, poor guy. He went through a lot.
Okay, well, do you have anything more you want to say?
I was just going to say that the house was supposed to be the third act, and Jill even said that. She said this was supposed to end at the house, so you surviving, this is just silly. So she agrees with what you're saying. So it was kind of like they are self-aware. They know what they're doing in the movie. They're dragging it on more. But I liked that.
I just didn't. Like I said, I love the line from her. I thought that was great about Michael Myers. But hey, let's get to the rating on this, Mike and Greggory. So, Mike, we'll go to you first. We go on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And we know what the critics and the fans said, Mike. What are you giving Scream 4?
I don't think it was as. I mean, I like all the Scream movies, other than one, and it's still okay. I'm gonna go on a 6.5 out of 10 on this. 65 out of 100 or 6.5. It's okay. It's not a total stinker. I think it's watchable.
Yeah,
it's actually one that my son likes a lot. I mean, he likes watching it. So I thought it was okay. I mean, it's not the worst by far.
Right, Greggory. What rating are you giving it? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best.
Taking a lot into account, I would give it an 8, and I'll tell you why. Because it's Wes Craven's last Scream movie. So last time that the original 3 OGs are together in one scene, because in Scream 5 they weren't ever all together in one scene. No,
they weren't.
So this is like the last time they all worked together. And it wasn't bad. I liked how they executed the ending, and the killers weren't the best, but they weren't the worst either. Well, maybe one of them was, but I still like Jill. If I had to pick between Jill and Charlie, I would say Jill was better, even though she had Charlie do everything for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I give it a solid 8. It wasn't the best, but it's not the worst.
Okay. Yeah, because when a lot of people talk about like the worst Scream killers, usually Charlie is number 1 with a bullet. He's like the worst. And then like you kind of got like Jill in there, and then you have like the 2 killers from Scream 5. Sometimes people say those are like the worst. And then the new movie, maybe some of them aren't that great, but yeah, so I mean, we can never take anything away from the killers from Scream 1 and Scream 2. Those are the best, in my opinion. But my rating here, you know what? I went to this movie kind of dreading rewatching it. I was like, this movie, blah, blah, blah. But I think I was really just kind of like not liking the beginning really kind of makes it bad for me. And so I'm going to give this one, but when you rewatch it, you're like, wow, this is really enjoyable. There's enjoyable kills. There's an enjoyable story. The cast you remember why this OG cast is the OG cast. They're great. I'm going to give it a 7. This is getting a 7 from me.
Okay. So those some really good scores that we never did talk about
What do you want to talk
quick,
about?
before we end this, we never talked about our favorite kills real quick.
Oh, okay. What do you want to?
So, Josh, you go ahead and tell us your favorite kill.
I think my favorite kill is I think it's the knife through the head of Perkins, the cop. I think that's my favorite.
All right, Gregory, what's your favorite?
Favorite being probably the most gruesome would be Olivia.
Yeah.
The cops are probably my least, to be honest.
And I'm going to kind of copy Gregory. I think Olivia's was just really brutal. I'm going to go with that one because that's probably a top 5 Scream kills of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really brutal.
And it was a real good play that I didn't say I was in there with you, and then she's looking across. So I thought that was a really good one.
Yeah, definitely. So
hey, we want to thank Gregory, our guest on for tonight. Gregory, thank you for coming out here with us.
Thank you for having me.
We definitely got to do it again because Gregory loves this horror movie stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
All right, guys, y'all have a good night. Please like, comment, and subscribe to Real Dead.
Yes.
And hey, tell us your opinion on what you think about Scream 4. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.